This show is brought to you by Safety FM.
Rated MA-LSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Finally, show with the balls to call it like it is. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Countdown to audio torture.
The Rated R Safety Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Let the eardrum pain begin.
Forget the corporate bullshit. This is the Rated R Safety Show with your host, Dr. It doesn't matter who the host is.
Oh, I think we already know that, and we have established it many times before. It does not matter who the host is. What has always mattered is who the listeners are. Anyways, today is Friday, March the 27th of 2026. Yes, don't ask me what day of the year it is because I don't know. But we are broadcasting from the Safety FM studios in Orlando, Florida, and coming across the multiverse known as Safety FM, and then hanging out with our friends and colleagues over there. Radio. Oh, yes, we are hanging and banging here with our friends from Radio Big because that's what we do. That's kind of how we hang, and that's what is the stuff that's going on. So how have you been? How's the last 24 hours or so been for you? Hopefully good and grandioso is always what I'm looking for to be the answer. So let's talk real quick. Yeah, we are doing this before I forget. Before I get too far away into the monstrous of things, it is Freeform Friday. So what does that mean? That means that all of the stuff that we did not talk about earlier in the week, we get to play catch-up today in regards of what's going on. So here's what's going to happen. I will talk a little bit about what's going on. I will bring in some professional broadcasters to talk about what's going on, and then I will try to bring everything to you that we were not able to cover earlier in the week. Yeah, because what I've noticed in the past, before we started doing Freeform Friday, was that I would have a stack of stories that I'm like, damn it, we need to get this to you. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So I say that from the fashion of I decided that if we do it on a one particular day of the week where we're playing catch up with everything, this makes it easier. We just kind of go, okay, cool. So with that being said, we have this segment that we do on Fridays, and it's only on Fridays that we do it, that we call the Week in Review. Yep, the Week in Review. But, you know, as I always do these things, I always forget that I'm supposed to do other stuff too. That people are like, you know, we should start off with this. So I was told that I should probably start off with this today.
This just in. The radio show you've been waiting for has been cleared for takeoff. Turbulence guaranteed.
So there you go. Turbulence guaranteed. But, you know, it's Week in Review time. So why don't we go ahead and do that? Let's do the Week in Review of what the hell was going on this week. So let's go ahead and get that, should we say started now? Because maybe that's the easier way to do it. So let's just do the Week in Review.
We're hearing from Today anchor Savannah Guthrie in her first interview since her mother, Nancy Guthrie, disappeared. Savannah speaks about the moment she learned her mother was missing and the reason she believes her mother was targeted.
And my sister called me. I said, "Is everything okay?" And she said, "No." She said, "Mom's missing." And I said, "What?"
The new big warning from the head of the TSA. If her agency isn't funded soon, some airports may need to close down entirely. And look at this, some of what officials today are calling the worst lines in TSA history, from New York to Atlanta to Houston.
In a first-of-its-kind case surrounding the question, are social media platforms dangerous for minors? The jury finding Meta, the parent company of Instagram, and YouTube negligent in designing their platforms to be addictive.
Tonight, as the investigation into the runway collision of that Air Canada Express flight and Port Authority fire truck enters its third day, one focus, the two air traffic controllers who were on duty that night. One of them heard saying he, quote, messed up after clearing that fire truck to cross the runway in front of the plane.
President Trump's signature will appear on U.S. paper currency, which is a huge first for a sitting president. Treasury says the move is to mark the country's 250th anniversary. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent's name will appear on currency as well.
Republican Senator Mark Wayne Mullen has been confirmed as the next Secretary of Homeland Security. He made it through the Senate on a 54-45 vote, mostly along party lines. He's going to take over for Kristi Noem, who was fired by President Trump.
Yeah, it's now week 4 of the war, and it still feels like Trump has no idea how to end it. Today, he announced that he's sending in the guy from Reacher.
Okay, so that's the weekend review of the things that are going on. So what do you think? It's just interesting, the whole thing. The only reason we do the weekend review is because we want to make sure that you play catch up. So if you do not know, if you missed something that had been going on, I want to give you the whole thing. We try to do it in 2 minutes or less is normally how we try to do it every week. So there you go. So if you're good with that, I'm good with it, and then we get moving. A lot of stuff going on for sure as we are talking. So with that being said, I do have some friends that are waiting for Feature Story News. They would love to talk to you in regards to the stuff that's going on. So if we can get them in and get them hustling and bustling, and we'll get that moving right now. So here is the news from Feature Story News right now.
Here is the news on the Radio Safety Show.
From Feature Story News in New Delhi, I'm Neha Punia. US President Donald Trump says he's pausing strikes against energy plants in Iran again, this time for 10 days. He claims as per the Iranian government's request. Tehran has maintained that US claims are untrue and no talks are underway.
While appearing on Fox News The 5, Trump said Iran asked very nicely to have more time.
You're going to say, oh, Trump's a terrible negotiator. They asked for 7, and I said, I'm going to give you 10.
Trump said they were very thankful for his offer. He said the ongoing talks with Iran are going fairly well. I'm Tammy Trujillo.
Markets were quick to respond to Trump's announcement, with oil prices trading lower in Asia this morning. Experts say Trump's announcement was likely aimed at getting oil prices under control. A key test of G7 unity is going to take place this week as foreign ministers of the grouping meet in France. Nick Harper is reporting.
U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio prepares to attend the second day on Friday of the G7 Foreign Leaders Summit. He is likely to defend the U.S. military action against Iran as necessary, but G7 allies will be looking for reassurances and clarity about a timeline for the end of this conflict, something that still remains unclear, with mixed signals from Washington of looking for both diplomacy but also as it sends more troops to the region. While Trump says that Iran is begging to make a deal. But so far they have not accepted the US proposal and instead offered their own counter-proposal to a peace negotiation.
This even as India is cutting taxes on petrol and diesel as concerns mount over hike in fuel prices due to the war in West Asia. The cut could help oil-selling companies recoup some of their heightened costs due to supply disruptions, and if passed on, could also help consumers save more money. Ishan Garg has more.
The Indian government has cut down excise duty on petrol and diesel by roughly 10% each, but it's unclear if that benefit will actually reach the common public. Analysts say it will help oil companies, most of which are government-owned, manage their costs. Concerns about fuel inflation have been looming since the war in Gulf started a month ago. India relies on imported fuel for about 80% of its needs, and the country is preparing for the long haul, with Prime Minister Narendra Modi warning of hard times ahead if the conflict drags on. He's holding a meeting with the chiefs of Indian states on Friday with an eye on managing fuel supplies and potential energy-saving measures for 1.4 billion people. Ishan Garg, New Delhi.
The International Olympic Committee has banned transgender women from Olympic competitions, saying the new policy promotes fairness. The eligibility changes come after US President Donald Trump signed an executive order last year banning transgender girls and women from competing in female sports ahead of the 2028 LA Summer Games. From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks, looking in more detail today at the landmark legal case in Los Angeles where Google and Meta were found liable for the addictive nature of some of their products. They're now required to pay substantial damages and face the prospects of thousands more similar cases being filed against them and other big tech firms. Jess Butcher is with Scrollerware, a digital well-being social enterprise in Britain.
The evidence has been unequivocal for a long time about the damage that it's doing, and yet we represent less than 2% of the audience of many of these huge platforms. And it's been referred to as a technopoly for a reason, right? The profits and the sizes of these companies are bigger than the GDP of many countries now. So their economic and political weight is incredibly significant. So this case is a bellwether case. It matters that it's a legal case as well, because there's very little that realistically can happen on the legislative side in the US, and yet law is where these things change. It's the playbook that was used for big tobacco. And this case effectively opens the door for many, many more of this kind. And I think that's why it's so significant.
Google and Meta are both expected to appeal Wednesday's jury finding, but their critics say they are belatedly facing consequences for the pernicious nature of some of their products. With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks.
The main news again. US President Donald Trump says he's pausing strikes against energy plants in Iran again, this time for 10 days. Markets quick to respond to Trump's announcement, with global oil prices trading lower in Asia this morning. A key test of G7 unity takes place this week as the foreign ministers of the grouping meets in France. And India, meanwhile, is cutting taxes on petrol and diesel as concerns mount over a hike in fuel prices. And that is the latest feature story news. Neha Punya reporting.
Safety in a way never heard of before. The Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
It's always amazing to me on how technology changes, and so does the environment that we're in. And cyber criminals will do everything they can to take advantage of a system. If you don't own a home, you have nothing to fear about what I'm about to tell you. But if you own a home like me and you don't guard it with home title lock, you're inviting home title fraud. One of the fastest growing crimes. Cyber thieves around the world know our home values are sky high at the moment, and that makes us a target. The crime is scary simple. Let me explain it to you real quick. A cyber thief simply forges your name on a property sale form and refiles it. That's it. Now he or she is on the deed of your home and you have no idea that you're a victim. Then the person takes out a loan on your home and vanishes, leaving you to prove to the police that you didn't commit bank fraud. Home Title Locks puts a virtual barrier around your home title. The instant they detect any kind of tampering or anybody messing around, they help shut it down. Look, if you have equity in your home, you need to guard it the best way that you can. Some people might even go as far as guarding it with their life. Go to HometitleLock.com and register your address to see if you already are a victim. And enter the code RADIO. That's RADIO. That's the code RADIO for 30 days free of protection. That's code RADIO at HometitleLock.com.
Safety business because you wanted to protect people. But
But somewhere along the way, the job started controlling your time, your schedule, your priorities, even your income potential. What if the expertise you've built over the years in the field can give you something more? More freedom, more control, more ownership of your future. I'm Sheldon Primus, the author of 7 Steps to Starting a Profitable Safety Consulting Business and the host of the Safety Consultant Podcast, with more than 350 episodes helping safety professionals become consultants and grow their career. Consulting changed my life. In fact, I'm a full-time RVer, and one consulting contract paid for my home I live in today. Now, I help safety professionals build their own consulting practice through bi-weekly coaching calls, accountability, and personal guidance. But this program isn't for everyone. Start with the Consultant Readiness Audit at sheldon.coach.
What if everything we thought we knew about safety was just interference? From the host of the Rated R Safety Show and the founder of Safety FM comes the complete signal transmission trilogy, now available in one powerful edition. Safety, in my opinion, the book that started the conversation. Safety Mutation, where the boundaries of culture, systems, and belief begin to break. And now, Safety Transmission, the final piece of the signal. For the first time, all 3 books are together in one volume. The Signal Transmission Trilogy, Complete Edition. This isn't just about compliance. It's about consciousness. It's about decoding the way we think, lead, and live, inside and outside the system. Whether you've been following the signal since the beginning or you're just now tuning in, this is the version to own. Search Signal Trilogy on Amazon or visit safetyfm.com to get your copy now.
Safety in a way never heard of before. The Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Oh, yes, the Rated R Safety Show. The Rated R. Why did you say it like that? I never understand it. Okay, so where do we want to start? That's the question that I always kind of wonder when we start off with this stuff. So before we get into serious business, I want to talk about this because some people are going to be slightly upset. Did you hear about this? So let's go through it. McDonald's is catching heat again over prices, and this time it's not just the burgers. It's the fine print. Customers that order through the McDelivery app are noticing a surprise small order fee of about $3.50 slapped on top of the delivery and service charges if your order doesn't hit a certain minimum, around $12 to $15. One customer went viral after realizing their discounted order was actually more expensive than using DoorDash. That's an extra fee. And the internet did what it does. It piled on. Some people said that it's better off just adding another item to dodge the fee, while others pointed out that it's not new. It's just, ticking people off. Meanwhile, complaints are stacking up about the nickel and dime charges as well, like paying extra for basic toppings. The bigger picture, fast food value is starting to feel like math problem. Even the third-party apps like DoorDash aren't innocent either. Once you stack delivery, service fee, and local fee, and the sandwich that costs $5, it ended up costing more than double. Nothing is like paying extra for ordering for less. So there you go. I look at this and I go, man, I don't have an issue with McDonald's. I mean, I'm just not a McDonald's consumer for the most part. I think it's been years at this particular point, but I just think it's interesting that when you start looking at this on how they start stacking up on prices. But if you look across almost all delivery services, there is some fee that's associated. Like, I have some level of a membership to one of these third-party apps that does the deliveries, and they still, I think I pay like some level of a yearly fee, but they still stack additional prices on there. But it's like, oh, it's discounted. A few days ago, I came to the realization that there's this Hispanic place that I like to eat at quite often. The fee for ordering the food from the third-party app, the food is $10 more expensive, not counting all the additional fees. The order of the food itself is $10 more expensive. So I've been going directly to the place. It's $10 cheaper. And on Sunday, I think it was, I went there and they were like, oh yeah, so it wasn't the traditional $10 more and it wasn't the normal prices of $10 less. They ended up charging me $20 less. And they're like, yeah, we're going to give it to you as it was on sale today. And I was like, I didn't even know that this was a thing. So it's just interesting if you just pick up the order yourself, if you can, of course, on how sometimes it's even cheaper. I don't know what the hell's going on, but it's just getting more and more interesting as you're ordering food out there. No doubt about that. Okay, so take a listen to this one real quick. A shirtless, clearly overserved Disney guest turned Disney Art of Animation Resort into his own live-action comedy show, wearing nothing but a teal swim trunk. The guy went full WWE on the wrong hotel door, body slamming it, kicking it, shoving it, and then moving on and banging the window like he was trying to break into Fort Knox. Problem is, it wasn't his room. The whole thing played out in a 4-part viral TikTok saga, complete with Disney soundtrack irony, confused onlookers, and a balcony of spectators, treating it like a nightmare show. By the final act, the police showed up, escorted him away, and ended the chaos. Meanwhile, the actual guest inside of the room, her room, said that her compensation for the madness was basically a Disney plushie. Nothing says sorry for a human battering ram like a stuffed toy. I wonder, here's my question. The Art of Animation, as I believe it has mostly doors outside. It's not like an indoor type of hotel. What was the expectation for somebody beating on the door? I don't know. I'm just asking the question because I never know what to expect. Like, what would you request in that? I know happiest place on earth, kind of a weird thing. So guy went to Disney and chose smash the door experience. That's not the undersea. That's the under arrest. And bro, he booked a room that turns out to be a booked on charges. Also, Disney said happiest place on earth, not fight night at Mermaid Motel. So there you go. There you go. Some stuff going on right there. That's for sure. So let's get into this because it was mentioned earlier. And I thought it was interesting. So Donald Trump is about to make history. And yeah, you're literally going to see his name this time when you open your wallet. For the first time ever, a sitting president's signature is going on the U.S. paper money. The Treasury Department says that Trump's signature will appear on denominations starting with the $100 bill rolling out in June, alongside the Treasury Secretary Scott Bennett's. Or Bassett's, excuse me. The break of the traditional going back from 1861, where only the treasurer's signatures appears on the federal notes. The design of the bill isn't changing. The same look, same face, is just a new signature. And once it's there, it stays until the future administration decides to swap it out. So, what do you think? I don't know. It's weird. It's just weird. And it's not weird like it's bad, and it's not like it's weird that it's good. It's just weird that it's different. But hey, those things happen. We will continue to see what happens going forward, no doubt about that. But what a weird time in regards to some of the stuff that continues to go on with some of these things there. But that's kind of how it goes from time to time. Okay. So let's get into this because I think that we need to talk about it because it's been an ongoing thing for a few months now. So we're going to talk briefly about this and try to get through some of it. And yes, I will tell you that we will do some stuff here. So just kind of take a listen as we're going through it. So this is part one of the Hoda interview with Savannah Guthrie that aired yesterday on NBC's Today. Savannah on getting the call about her mom missing. Let's start off with that one.
The weekend your mom went missing. Tell me what you were doing and what happened.
Well, I had given Mike for Christmas a boys' trip to go play tennis, and so he had been gone for the weekend. So I took my kids actually to Carson's. So we had a beautiful, fun night together, and then I came home. And really, it just got home at the same time that Mike came home. We were just saying hi, putting down our stuff, and the kids were running around. And my sister called me, and I said, "Is everything okay?" And she said, "No." She said, Mom's missing. And I said, what?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? She said, she's gone. And she was in a panic. I was in a panic. I'm like, call 911.
Yeah.
She's like, I did. We've called them. They're here. And we thought that she must have had like some kind of medical episode in the night, and that somehow, the paramedics had come because the back doors were propped open, and that didn't make any sense. We thought maybe they came and there was a stretcher and they took her out the back. But her phone was there and her purse was there and all her things. And it just didn't make any sense. So, Annie and Tommy had already called all the hospitals, but then I'm like, I'm going to call the hospital. So then I started calling the hospitals, and the police were there and talking to her at the same time. And it was just chaos and disbelief.
I mean, think about that. I mean, I don't even know how you would react at first with something along those lines. So then Savannah talks about feeling that it's her fault that her mom was taken because of Savannah has money is really kind of what it goes into. But take a listen to this.
My brother, he spent his career in the military and worked in intelligence and is a fighter pilot and is brilliant. And he saw very clearly right away what this was.
Yeah.
And even on the phone, when I called him, he knew.
He knew.
And he said, I think she's been kidnapped for ransom. And I said,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
Well, why? What? And then, it sounds so like how dumb could I be? But I didn't want to believe. I just said, do you think because of me? And he said, I'm sorry, sweetie, but yeah, maybe. But I knew that.
You did.
I hope not. We still don't know. Honestly, we don't know anything.
No.
We don't know anything. So I don't know that it's because she's my mom and somebody thought, oh, that girl, that lady has money, we can make a quick buck. That would make sense, but we don't know. But yeah, that's probably, which is too much to bear. To think that I brought this to her bedside. That it's because of me.
It's kind of crazy when you start thinking about the whole thing. Then Savannah talks about the ransom notes. Take a listen to this.
The ransom notes or ransom requests came. Did you believe those to be real?
There are a lot of different notes, I think, that came. And I think most of them, it's my understanding, are not real. And I didn't see them. But, a person that would send a fake ransom note really has to look deeply at themselves.
Yeah.
To a family in pain. But I believe the 2 notes that we received, that we responded to, I tend to believe those are real.
Really?
Okay, so that was her commentary about the ransom note. Then she talks about the Ring camera itself. Take a listen to this.
Tell me what you thought when you saw those images of the person who took your mother.
It's just absolutely terrifying. And I can't imagine that is who she saw standing over her bed. It's too much. And I'm glad and grateful to the investigators and the technology companies that were able to find that video. To, I hope, at least with people of good heart and compassion, stop the irresponsible and cruel speculation that had started to swirl.
Let's talk about that for a minute.
I'm glad that people saw
Yeah.
what came to our door.
I mean, there's been all kinds of weird speculations, I guess is what she's trying to address. And then Savannah talks about people who pointed the finger at her family members. Take a listen to this.
When you talk about the cruel speculation, the whispers, the innuendo that it was somebody in your family, how did you weather that?
It's unbearable, and it piles pain upon pain. There are no words. I don't understand. I'll never understand. And no one took better care of my mom than my sister and brother-in-law. And no one protected my mom more than my brother. And we love her, and she is our shining light. She's our matriarch. She's all we have.
I mean, it's crazy. This is a story in general. It's crazy. Now, I mean, think about it. When everything started happening at the very beginning, towards the end of January, beginning of February, and how much you heard about it, and now you really haven't heard a lot about what's going on. So it becomes a very interesting time, no doubt about that. Let's continue talking about some other things that are going on inside of the world of the multiverse. Brazilian researchers testing sharks near the Bahamas discovered something wild, traces of cocaine, caffeine, and common painkillers in their system. In a study of 85 sharks, 28 tested positive for drugs, with caffeine leading the pack, followed by ingredients found in meds like Tylenol and Voltaren. And yes, a couple of sharks even tested positive for cocaine. Researchers say that it's likely from polluted wastewater, and in some cases, sharks chomping on drug packages that end up in the water. Basically, they bite first, ask questions never. The first time cocaine has been detected in sharks in the Bahamas, and the first time the caffeine has shown up in sharks anywhere. The bigger issue, even in a relatively remote waters, pollution from tourism, urban runoff, and tracking is creeping into the food chain. Scientists are already seeing signs of stress in shark bodies as they try to process all this junk. So shark on caffeine finally explains the whole never stop moving thing, if you really think about it. So what a crazy time, right? Some things to think about as we are talking. Okay, let's do this one real quick. Chicago just got a glimpse of the robot future, and apparently it's not exactly what everybody's thinking. And apparently it's know how to stop at a bus stop. 2 separate delivery robots got smashed. Yeah, smashed into glass bus shelter within days of each other, raising eyebrows and sweeping up the broken glass. The first incident involved a robot from Serve Robotics, which plowed into a Chicago Transit Authority shelter at Grand Rapids on Sunday. Video shows the robot just stopping there afterwards like nothing happened, while the glass is completely shattered. And then 2 days later, round 2, a robot in Coco Robots crashed into another shelter near North Houston, and again breaking the glass. No injuries in the case, but both companies quickly went into cleanup and apology mode, promising to review what went wrong and cover damages. Meanwhile, not everyone is thrilled about the sidewalk robots playing bumper cars in public property. A petition to shut down Chicago's delivery robot pilot program is gaining traction, with thousands already signing on, and the program is supposed to run through 2027, assuming that the robots don't take out every bus stop at first. So there you go. Okay. And then I'm going to give you one more before we disappear and do some other stuff here. A guy in New York basically turned eating into Olympic sport and won. Joshua Friskin, a hardcore foodie from Las Vegas, just set the Guinness record, or Guinness World Record, of hitting 28 Michelin star restaurants in 24 hours. In 24 hours, just in case. And let's see. He started in Brooklyn and wrapped up in Manhattan the next day, beating his own previous record, reclaiming the title, and after someone else took it last year. And before you ask, no, this isn't cheap. The food alone ran him under $1,000, plus nearly $500 in just getting from place to place. So basically, he spent a couple of $1,000s to eat nonstop for a day. And then he says that it was worth it, calling out dishes like crab salad, scallop dumplings, and pasta as highlights, and claiming that wasn't a single bad bite. At this point, you're not eating, you're speed dating with food, is what it sounds like. I don't know, $2,000 in food in that kind of period of time. I don't know if it's worth it or not. Anyways, normally main story around this time, but not today.
Here is the news on the Radio Safety Show.
From Feature Story News in Brussels, I'm William Denslow. The United States has delayed a threat to attack Iran's energy infrastructure to April 6th. The US President said the deadline extension request came from Tehran, though that's not yet been confirmed by Iran. Donald Trump added that talks were going very well, but Iran's leadership says the peace proposal floated by the US was excessive and unfair. Ross Cullen reports from the Turkish city of Van, near the Iran border.
Iran has not confirmed publicly that it is in direct negotiations with the United States, but it's understood that back-channel talks are being held between Washington and Tehran, with various countries involved in conveying messages back and forth, including Egypt, Pakistan and Turkey. According to reports in the Wall Street Journal, Donald Trump is considering sending another 10,000 ground troops to the Middle East ahead of a possible incursion into Iran, on top of the more than 3,000 soldiers already on their way to the Gulf.
India's cutting taxes on petrol and diesel as concerns mount over a hike in fuel prices due to the war in West Asia. The cut could help oil-selling companies recoup some of their heightened costs due to supply disruptions, and if passed on, could also help consumers save more money. Ishan Garg tells us more from New Delhi.
The Indian government has cut down excise duty on petrol and diesel by roughly 10% each, but it's unclear if that benefit will actually reach the common public. Analysts say it will help oil companies, most of which are government-owned, manage their costs. Concerns about fuel inflation have been looming since the war in Gulf started a month ago. India relies on imported fuel for about 80% of its needs, and the country is preparing for the long haul, with Prime Minister Narendra Modi warning of hard times ahead if the conflict drags on. He's holding a meeting with the chiefs of Indian states on Friday with an eye on managing fuel supplies.
British parents are being advised to limit screen time for under 5s to 1 hour a day maximum. The government has released its first ever guidance, which also says bedtimes and mealtimes should be device-free. And it advises that 2-year-olds should never watch screens unsupervised. Education Secretary Bridget Phillipson says screen time should be with parents whenever possible.
It's better generally if screens are used together as part of an activity, so where you can, chat about it, ask questions, and do those activities jointly. I know that technology is here to stay, and this guidance is about how we support families.
The US Secretary of State Marco Rubio is joining G7 counterparts in France for talks on the conflict in Iran and the war in Ukraine. The UK are among several powers expressing concerns over Moscow allegedly sharing intelligence with Tehran to help them target US forces. From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks, looking in more detail today at the landmark legal case in Los Angeles where Google and Meta were found liable for the addictive nature of some of their products. They're now required to pay substantial damages and face the prospects of thousands more similar cases being filed against them and other big tech firms. Jess Butcher is with Scrollaware, a digital well-being social enterprise in Britain.
The evidence has been unequivocal for a long time about the damage that it's doing. And yet we represent less than 2% of the audience of many of these huge platforms. And it's been referred to as a technopoly for a reason, right? The profits and the sizes of these companies are bigger than the GDP of many countries now. So their economic and political weight is incredibly significant. So this case is a bellwether case. It matters that it's a legal case as well, because there's very little that realistically can happen on the legislative side in the US, and yet law is where these things change. It's the playbook that was used for big tobacco, and this case effectively opens the door for many, many more of this kind, and I think that's why it's so significant.
Google and Meta are both expected to appeal Wednesday's jury finding, but their critics say they are belatedly facing consequences for the pernicious nature of some of their products.
The main news again. The United States has delayed a threat to attack Iran's energy infrastructure to April 6th. The US President said the deadline extension request came from Tehran, though that's not been confirmed yet by Iran. India is cutting taxes on petrol and diesel as concerns mount over hikes in fuel prices due to the war in West Asia. And US Secretary of State Marco Rubio is joining G7 counterparts in France to discuss the conflict in Iran. And that's the latest Feature Story News. William Denslow reporting.
Listen to our host of the Rated R Safety Show self-implode on our airwaves, only on Safety FM.
This portion of the show has been sponsored by Private Internet Access, America's #1 virtual private network, or VPN. Even if you use incognito mode, internet service providers is storing your browser data and many times even selling it. But Private Internet Access, or PIA, can help you. PIA encrypts and reroutes your internet traffic through one of its own servers, hiding your data from your internet service provider or network admin. And with servers in over 75 countries, you can get unrestricted access to geo-blocked content from around the world. PIA comes with easy-to-use apps and browsers extension for all devices, a rock-solid privacy policy, open source security, advanced customization settings, and it was just ranked the fastest VPN in the world by PC Magazine. And if you sign up right now with PIA, you can take advantage of a special deal only for Safety FM listeners. Only by using the following link, you can get the digital privacy for less than $2 a month. Yes, you did hear me correctly, less than $2 a month, and an extra 4 months for free. So that means for only $1.98 a month and 83% off, you can get this service for you right now. That's so much more inexpensive than virtually every other VPN on the market. And if you get it right now, you can take PIA's 30-day risk-free challenge. You can try it out for 30 days, see if you like it, and if not, just return it for a full refund. So just go to safetyfm.com/VPN. That's safetyfm.com/VPN to try out the best VPN on the planet completely risk-free. Now remember, safetyfm.com/VPN.
Is your safety training old, stale, and hacked? Is your safety trainer still preaching a warped version of behavior-based safety? How about safety training that actually addresses your hazards in your workplaces and is not standardized baloney from 25 years ago? Contact the Safety Wars team at safetywars.com or call Jim Posel at 845-269-5772. Remember, if you're receiving this message, you are the solution to unsafe workplaces.
In safety, in my opinion, you woke up. You saw the system, the simulation, the structure that trained you to mistake compliance for care. Safety mutation. Information misdirection picks up where the signal fractured. Because the system didn't shut you down, it rebranded you. It packaged your voice, sold your rebellion as a new initiative, and smiled while doing it. This isn't a manual. It's a decoded transmission about what happens when slogans replace stories, when safety becomes marketing, and when truth gets mirrored so perfectly, you forget it was ever yours. You'll see the mutation. Learning teams turned into theater, zero harm turned into optics, and feedback turned into formatting. But the signal didn't die. It was redirected. Safety Mutation is Book 2 of the Signal Transmission Trilogy. Available now in print, Kindle, and audiobook. Narrated by the author J. Allen, Ph.D. Because the system adapted. Now it's your move.
Hey there, Jay Allen here with Safety FM, where we just don't talk about safety, we live it. And when it comes to safeguarding your future, there's no better partner than Acorns. This part of the show has been brought to you by Acorns and a powerful tool that makes saving and investing easier than ever. We all know that investing can feel overwhelming, especially with busy lives and no time to dive into the nitty-gritty of financial markets. With Acorns, changes the game. With Acorns, you don't need to be a financial expert or have a hefty sum of money to get started. In fact, Acorns lets you begin with just spare change. It's all about those small steps, small investments today that can build into something much bigger over time. Acorns recommends that the expert build portfolio designed to fit financial goals. Then it does the heavy lifting for you by automatically investing your money. It's like having a financial advisor in your pocket working around the clock to help your money grow. So why wait? Head over to acorns.com/safetyfm or download the Acorns app and take that first step towards securing your future today. Remember, in the world of safety and investing, small actions today can lead to mighty outcomes tomorrow. Paid non-client endorsement. Compensation provides an incentive to positively promote Acorns. Investing involves risk. Acorns Advisors, LLC, and SEC registered investment advisors. View important disclosures at acorn.com/safetyfm. At Safety FM, we're all about making smart decisions on the job and in life. So take control of your financial future. This is Jay Allen reminding you to stay safe, stay smart, and invest in your tomorrow.
Radio Big.
USA, Canada, UK.
Hypnotized by the pendulum on your necklace. I'm under your direction. Oh, didn't know my body never moved like this before. Push up in your aura, I surrender my control. Oh, when you scream my name, shivers through my arms. In another life, it sound like an alarm. You touch me better than anyone in my dreams. You give me more than I think that I'll ever need. You're freaking me out. You're freaking me out.
Okay, here we are. 45 minutes past the top of the hour as you and I are hanging out on this lovely Friday. This right here, this one's called Freaking Me Out by Carlin. Songs readily available on Spotify, Apple Music, and YouTube Music. And Pandora. Why would you not have it there? So we would like to thank Carlin for allowing us to play this here on the Rated R Safety Show. A lot of stuff going on inside of the world of the multiverse. So let's continue. Oh, yeah. I believe the album for this one is I Feel Like an Alien, and I'm not joking. It is, close enough to saying I feel like an Allen, because we're just one letter away, but that's a whole other different story. We'll talk about that at some other time. Anyways, let me tell you about the most important thing that I will ever tell you in my lifetime, and that's about my friends at To Write Love on Our Arms. No matter what you're facing, you deserve to be connected to help, and we want you to know that people have been where you are now and that healing is possible. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to TWLOHA.com. That's TWLOHA.com and click on the section that says Find Help. Once you get there, all kinds of information for you related to addiction, depression, anxiety, eating disorder, self-injury, suicide, trauma, grief support, just to name a few. That's TWLOHA.com to write love on her arms. So there you go. A lot of stuff going on inside of the world of the multiverse, like always, in regards to that. Okay, so a couple things real quick as we are going forward here and talking a little bit about everything. Yeah, Tuesday next week, Conklin Workshop taking place in Santa Fe, New Mexico. Yeah, I think tickets close out this weekend, by the way, if I remember correctly. I know there's still a few tickets left. But that's taking place in Santa Fe, New Mexico, Hotel Santa Fe, March the 31st through April the 1st. You'll be able to hang out with the likes of Todd Conklin, Brett Sutton, Ann Liren, and Redonda Voigt talking about an incident that occurred firsthand to Redonda Voigt. We'll be taking a look at it through the lens of HOP and going through the whole complexity of the system itself, and then taking a look at some of the tools that have been created by Brett Sutton, and of course this will be hosted by Ann Liren, going through the whole process. Would love to see you there. All you have to do is go to safetyfm.com and click on the section that says live events. That's taking place next week. If that's a little bit too soon for you, we have another event coming up. This one's coming up on July the 13th in Orlando, Florida. We're doing this one slightly different. We're not doing it at a hotel. We're doing it at a movie theater. We'll be hanging out with the likes of Nick Weatherly, talking about behavior-based safety. We'll have Todd Conklin there talking about human and organizational performance, and I will be there talking about Signal Trilogy. You'll be able to hang out with us if you want to do that at a movie theater. We'll go where a documentary over there as well, because why wouldn't you do that when you're hanging out at a movie theater? That one's taking place July the 13th, and it's a Monday. I want to make sure that I specify that. People are going, okay, Monday, that's interesting. That way you can hang out in Orlando if you want to over the weekend. If you want to find out more information about that one, all you have to do is go to safetyfm.io. That's safetyfm.io to find out more information. We'd love to see you there. That's for sure. Hanging out, doing some things, no doubt about that, as we are going through the whole plethora of stuff. Okay, so with that being said, if you're good with this, I'm good with this. I have John Small waiting in the wing, wanting to talk about the Motivation Minute. So if you're good with it, I'm good with it. Let's get it rolling right now. Here's the Motivation Minute with John Small.
Courtesy of JaceCaseMedical.com. Today's quote was submitted by Kevin. Buckminster Fuller said, "You never change things by fighting the existing reality. To change something, build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete." What a great concept. I just had a conversation with a client about something fairly similar. They have multiple business locations, and there's a space in one building that's not being used. Now, it's an older building that's going to need a lot of renovations to make it work for the project we're talking about. They happen to have another building, though, in the same town that's been completely renovated from a few years ago. And there's a space in that building that's never even been finished. I suggested that we just look at that space and finish that instead of trying to do something with that old building. Because when it's all over and done, it's still going to be an older building in a less popular area. So why not just do the project in the newer place? The Motivation Minute. This has been the Motivation Minute. I'm John Small. Thanks for listening. Your favorite motivational quotes can be submitted for upcoming programs at motivationminute.org.
Here is the news on the LaGuardia Safety Show.
Democrats flipped a Florida House seat on Wednesday in a district that includes President Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate.
Emily Gregory beat her Republican rival in the special election by a narrow margin. The area went for Trump by 11 points in 2024, making the win a notable upset. Voter turnout stayed low amid the partial government shutdown. Jessica Oakley reporting.
Iran flatly denied U.S. claims of talks to end the war, calling reports of negotiations nothing but fake news amid ongoing tensions.
President Trump stated Iran wants to make a deal to stop the fighting, but Tehran's parliament speaker dismissed it outright. The White House downplayed speculation about any meetings in what they call a fluid situation. This comes as Trump postponed strikes on Iranian power plants. Benjamin Wright reporting.
Minnesota sued the Trump administration over access to evidence from federal officer shootings that killed 2 locals.
The state seeks records on incidents, including the deaths of Alex Preddy and Renee Good, to conduct its own review. Officials argue the cases demand independent investigation, free from federal control. The suit highlights ongoing clashes between state and federal authorities. Shelley White reporting.
This is the latest news headlines.
Investigations continue regarding Air Canada pilots losing their lives in a fiery crash at New York's LaGuardia Airport when their plane collided with a firefighting truck right after landing.
The collision happened shortly after touchdown with 73 passengers and 4 crew aboard the flight from Toronto. Investigators note the runway safety system failed to alert anyone. 2 men on the truck also perished in the flames. Lawrence Keller reporting.
A deadly crash at LaGuardia Airport exposed a key flaw when the runway safety system gave no alert before the collision.
The National Transportation Safety Board leads the probe into why warnings failed during the Air Canada incident. Passengers escaped unharmed, but 5 people, including pilots, died. Officials review similar systems at other U.S. airports. Kevin Sanders reporting.
Long security lines plagued one major U.S. airport, stretching 4 hours amid the partial government shutdown.
Travelers faced massive delays at TSA checkpoints due to staff shortages from unpaid furloughs. The chaos pressures lawmakers to fund the Department of Homeland Security. Some lines snaked outside terminals. Frustrating holiday rushes. Sharon Kender reporting.
Breonna Taylor's mother voiced fury on Wednesday as the DOJ moved to drop charges against 2 officers in her daughter's fatal raid.
Tamika Palmer called the decision confusing and maddening years after the 2020 shooting. Prosecutors cite insufficient evidence for trial in the botched warrant service. The family demands full accountability from federal authorities. Liam White reporting.
And that's the latest news headlines with Alan Edwards.
We are radio. We are sarcasm. We are both combined. Radio Big.
I truly hope he said sarcasm because it sounded like something else for a hot minute there. Anyways, let's talk about some things that happened back on this date. Back in 1980, Mount St. Helens becomes an active after 123 years. 1994, radio personality Rush Limbaugh weds wife numero tres, Marta Fitzgerald. Also, back in 1997, Martin Luther King's son meets with James Earl Ray. And let's see, that's pretty much the stuff that I want to cover. And let's take a look at some celebrity birthdays that are going on today. Michael York turns 84. Tony Banks turns 76. Quentin Tarantino turns 63. Mariah Carey, 57. Fergie turns 51. And Brenda Song turns 38. So there you go. Some celebrity birthdays going on today. Some things that you ought to know after the death of Iran's supreme leader. Hardline forces inside the regime have taken over and are dialing things up, not down. These leaders are not openly talking about pursuing a nuclear weapon, a major shift from years of publicly denying the goal. Reports say that the ongoing U.S. Israeli strikes have pushed the Tehran to point where they feel that they give nothing to lose or have nothing to lose at this point. There's even talks about Iran pulling off a global nuclear treaty, although altogether and all in on the building of the bombs. Okay, so there you go. A lot of interesting stuff there. Also, tonight's Mega Million is for $70 million. Tomorrow's Powerball jackpot is for $166 million. Also, NASCAR, the Cookout 400 NASCAR race airs on Sunday at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time on FS1. From Martinsville Speedway. In some other news, the runway at LaGuardia Airport is back in action after a deadly and chaotic incident. Officials say that the tarmac reopened yesterday morning around 10 a.m. after the crews repaired the damage and went over everything with a fine-tooth comb to make sure that it met Federal Aviation Administration safety standards. This comes after the plane collided with a fire truck on the same runway, a crash that killed 2 pilots and left several others injured. After the inspection and repairs, the all clear was given and the flights are now moving again. Reminder, Easter is right around the corner, just in case if you have not remembered this. April the 5th is your date. I just want to give you a warning, over a week away, because I think that, it's going to be important to remember this stuff, because if not, you're going to be like, why is everything closed? It happens that way as we are talking. So there you go. Anyways, this is going to end our show for this lovely Friday. Well, kind of. It's going to end this version, hour number 1, because remember, hour 2 and 3 still happen at radiobig.fm. So we're going to be going over there, talking about the world of music, talking about the world of entertainment, if you want to come and hang out with us. If you don't want to go over there, that's perfectly fine. Hang out here on Safety FM. And you can talk to the likes of Sheldon Primus as he's talking about the world of safety consulting. So if I can leave you with some words of wisdom for today, let me do this. If you want different, do different. So there you go. In some other news, try this. Put a slice of bread in with cookies to keep them soft for days. Maybe that's something you did not know, because I just discovered it 20 seconds ago. So there you go. Anyways, that's going to sum it up. Thank you for always being the best part of Safety FM and Radio Big, and that is the listener, because without you, it makes no sense to do what we do around here. No doubt about that. Anyways, I know who you are. You know who I am. Oh, by the way, new Cannon's album came out today, just in case you did not know that. Everything Glows. Yeah, out already. So take a listen to it if you haven't. Anyways, I know who you are. You know who I am. Love you. Mean it. Bye.
The views and opinions expressed during this broadcast, podcast, or radio show are solely those of the host and guests and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of Safety FM and or Radio Big. The content discussed, including examples of analysis, is provided for illustrative purposes only. It should not be applied as the sole solution in real-world scenarios, as it is based on limited and dated open source information. Any assumptions made during this broadcast, podcast, or radio show are not reflective of Safety FM and or Radio Big. No portion of this broadcast, podcast, or radio show may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, electronic, mechanical, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of Safety FM and or Radio Big. For permission requests, please contact Safety FM or Radio Big directly.